the vehicle of this really charming, magical family, a very powerful message about family acceptance and love, that is so incredibly needed today.
My name is Kimberly Hoyos, and I'm from the LALIFF. We're a community and platform supporting women and non-binary filmmakers through visibility, education, and connection. Today, I'm really excited to be speaking with Sophia Stieglitz, the director of the beautiful and intimate documentary Papa Melissa. Born in Mexico City, Sophia is an award-winning cinematographer whose work has been screened at major film festivals such as TIFF, Tribeca, and Berlinale. She's the co-founder of the Electric Amazons, a collective advancing diversity behind the scenes by employing women and non-binary technicians in Latin America. And Papa Melissa is her directorial debut. Sophia, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations off the bat on Papa Melissa being selected for the LALIFF Works in Progress Fund. What did that moment mean to you and the team?
The support from the Latino Film Institute was major for us to be able to finish the film. So when that was the first time they supported us, and it really helped us just bring everything together and get to that last phase to close up the post-production. So we were really, really excited and happy when they told us.
You speak to the unique challenges, or perhaps Constanza and Domenica as producers, the unique challenges that come with producing and creating an indie documentary such as this, and sort of why that support is so crucial from other entities to come in.
Yeah, I mean, I think independent cinema today has become even more challenging, and it is incredibly important for brands and institutions and companies to support independent filmmaking, because that is a big part of the sustainability of the ecosystem of Hollywood. It's telling stories that the studios are not necessarily telling, and I think that it is so important to diversify and be able to tell these very intimate, profound stories that can hopefully reach a wider audience and can help bring more empathy to the world.
How did you come into this subject matter? It's so, specific.
I was going through a really como existential moment in my life where I was really like pondering at a personal level, um, like binary gender constructs and the pressures of society. So when I met Melissa, we instantly clicked. There was a lot of like was good energy between us, and as soon as I proposed to make the film together, Melissa was really open and really excited to make a movie together, and she really entrusted me, both her and the family. So it has really been like a huge honor and like privilege for me to that they accepted, and that we were able to make the film together.
It definitely feels incredibly intimate. One of my questions we really want to know about was, what was your process for capturing that closeness without disrupting the rhythm of Melissa's daily life?
Well, from the get-go, they were very excited to participate. So they kind of like entrusted me from the beginning. And a lot of the work was like maintaining that trust throughout the process. It was very important for us, for me at the beginning, and then for us as a team, to really respect the boundaries that the family was placing, to really respect like their own rhythms and to work around that. We also shot a very few days a year. So we would like shoot for a week, then go to the cutting board. Time would pass. We would have to raise more money, see what we had, and then we ended up going a year later to film for another week. And that was kind of the process that happened throughout the 4 years of filming. So we weren't really intruding that much in that sense. We were really like respecting their process. And for example, on weekends they go and work example, braids in Coyoacán. So every time we would shoot on a weekend, we would have to go there and film there and kind of work around their work and work around their everyday routines.
With the conversation of this film and the themes being gender identity, fluidity, love, sacrifice as well, was there anything that maybe changed from the beginning of the story, or new things that maybe surfaced as you were shooting? And
the story is very layered and has a lot of substance and a lot of depth. So as we moved forward, we were unraveling those layers, and in the same way that the audience is like discovering the family, that was really the process that we had also as filmmakers working with the family. So there was definitely a, a lot of como learning at the beginning of getting to know the story, getting to know the family.
so that actually opened up a few questions I have for Costanza and Dame. If you could answer a little bit about how producing this was in the midst of the pandemic and also internationally, if you could color a little bit more about when y'all came in and how your hands got on the project.
It was also a very organic process. We've known Sophia for many years, and we've been friends, and we've been, we admire each other's work. And we met at Tribeca. We had some drinks. Sophia was sharing that she was working on this film, and that she wanted to share some clips of the movie with us, and kind of left it at that. And she shared that to us, and we immediately felt a connection to what we were seeing on screen. And life happened, time passed. We were all figuring out what this structure, what this collaboration could look like. And then the LALIFF Fund really allowed us all to push forward on this journey together all the way to the end. And we've just been watching the process happen while at the same time supporting it, and letting the story sort of unfold. And we've spent so much time in these 2 years in post, really figuring out what the heart of what was at the heart of the story, and what we wanted to, what would eventually become this portrait of the family, and honoring it in its truest form. And yeah, I don't know if you want to add something, Franz. No, yeah. Of the 6 years, we got involved about 4 years ago. And so, it's been really charming. I remember the first time I met the family, I felt like I had already known them, because we had already started working on the film and working with Sophia. And it was like, I remember being like, hi, like I had already known them, and it was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm like, oh my gosh, of course, we haven't met before. Hi, I'm Constanza, one of the producers. And like Sophia had told them about Domenica and Rodrigo. And
How did the story really get tied together, even though the story doesn't really end?
Our post-production editing process was very long in that sense. We had several cuts during the process, and
Salvador Perez Garcia is our supervising editor.
sí, Salvador Perez Garcia. And so he really helped us to kind of clean out the extra information that was kind of opening narrative lines that were taking us out of like the core story that we really wanted to stay como focused on acceptance and on Melissa's journey. He really helped us como create a more coherent narrative line.
How can aspiring maybe documentarians in this sense prepare themselves to meet producers like y'all?
I think it's Sophia had started the process. I think it's very appealing when you see that the person who's committed to making this has already shows that this commitment is in action, right? And I think that um we come in projects at various stages. Like, this isn't the only way in which we would begin working in a documentary, but it definitely helped because there was already something to take in. There was already something that that was the train was in motion already. And so it's like you suddenly come on to, especially on documentaries, it still took us, from when we got involved in the project to now, it took us 4 more years to finish, right? So it's a long process. And as independent filmmakers, you're constantly looking for more funding. You're constantly, the lines are always moving and things are always changing. And so just having the energy of the director is very important. The commitment of the director is very important. And that is something that already puts a project like ahead, it already makes it like a reason to review and consider. But then you have something that you really, what you're shown is really touching to you, and it's really something that you want to be a part of. And so it's all of that. It's like the undeniable aspect of a project is really what makes, you want to roll up your sleeves knowing that you don't know when this ends, but you want to be a part of it.
That makes a lot of sense. The drive of the individual or the creator or collective pushing it, the story itself, the materials they have in place, and that really gives you both confidence as producers to understand you're also not going to be alone in this potentially 6-year plus journey, depending on what kind of project it is, especially in the indie world. Sophia, with your career mainly rooted in cinematography and being a DP and in that field, how were you able to translate those skills into being a director?
Well, the way I relate to filmmaking is really through like the lenses, the camera, and the lighting. So that I knew was gonna be like a natural part of my process. Um, I was able to collaborate with Gabriela Reyes Fuchs, who also was a cinematographer on the project for the moments that I wanted to kind of like concentrate more on directing that. um I guess I had some experience directing some shorts and stuff, and because of like watching and working with so many directors, but I hadn't had like the chance to really do it myself, especially in a scenario like this that is a documentary. So I think the approach was like learning. This is my directorial debut. So a lot of the process was like using what I knew and having that safety and security, like using the camera I always use, using the lenses that I know how they are, and like really taking care of the cinematography and kind of to build that confidence to be able to try different things as a director while having the amazing support of the team, right? Because at the beginning, for example, it was really hard to manage everything. I was like producing, directing, and that's also when Gabriela helped me and came as a cinematographer, and we made a really good team in that sense. And then there was moments in which I really needed to be like operating the camera because I wanted to kind of feel the shot in the moment and take decisions from instinct as the scene was progressing in front of me. But after a couple of years with the support of 271 Films and Domenica and Cons that are like superstar producers, and they really supported me through the process. It really helped me to really concentrate more on the directing side, especially in the edit.
Can you share more about your collaborative partnership with Sophia?
Yeah, I mean, for the man, the most important thing is always the story. There's nothing more important than like what is the story we're telling. And so I think that Sophia was extremely receptive. I mean, I don't know how many cuts we did, how many lengths, how many things we tried. We would spend countless hours on Zoom because Sofia is in Mexico, we're in the US. Countless hours on Zoom, just being like reviewing footage and opening the footage and looking at all the scenes and stopping to discuss, okay, what's really happening here? Can we integrate it into the structure that Salvador had already sort of put together? Because going back to the structure, I think what was really important is um, how are you threading, the acts? How are things connecting? How are the ideas, the discussions, the scenes, all of it coming together? And so the second you take something out or you add something in, it trickles down a big effect to everything else that you did. So Sophie was super collaborative. Sometimes she would be like, I completely disagree, but I'm gonna give it a try. And that's rare, to say, let's give this a try. And then we would say, okay, a part of this works, not everything, but a part of it. And so that kind of openness in the collaboration, I think, makes it really special. And I think it also, just going back to the commitment of the team to be able to really honor, because we're talking about like real people's lives, like we're not making this story up. Like you have to treat it with such care and respect, and that was truly always at the forefront of like the decision making. It's like, are we taking care of of human life that is in front of us? And that's really how we collaborated.
Whether this is maybe an introduction or otherwise, if that's already a blend of a life being lived, how do you think that this film sort of sparks those conversations?
Well, I think Melissa is a very como brave person and human being, and also was brave enough to be vulnerable in front of camera. Um, so for me, the most important thing is that this film can open minds, open hearts, really create empathy for the new generations and for future generations, and hopefully for older generations, to start como sí, accepting and promoting radical como love and support, empathy, acceptance in families. So we really want, through this film, for more humans to feel como seen, accepted, and I think both for Mexican society and American society and global society, Melissa really breaks a lot of structures and a lot of programs that I know maybe many other families do as well, right? And but because it's not like the norm, it might feel like different. But for us, it was so important that no, we're not different. Like we're humans and we share the same como insecurities, and we share the same como conflicts, family conflicts, and it's not about gender in that sense, right? So this like universal human como family issues that unite us all is really what will promote also that como normalization and inclusion. So I don't know if Dome and Cons want to add something, but I kind of feel for us it's one of the important things, and for me, the most important things about sharing this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think depending on where your upbringing is and what your perspective, life is very incredibly subjective. And so I think through filmmaking, we try to present some realities in hope that people can maybe take something that they would judge by just seeing it from afar and be able to like zoom in and say, no, here's a family that's a family like yours, like it's a family like every other family. The universality of family was always at the forefront of the themes and the approach of what this is, because ultimately what we hope is that we would live in a world where judgment and prejudice and hate and bullying and all of these things that lie from your idea of what something means, um lies, and that would go away. That would ultimately be the hope, is that people can just exist freely without having others butt into their business, because it's not their business. It's like, leave people alone. Focus on yourself.
Yeah, there are definitely some shocking moments. Given, I think, the state of politics in the US and globally, and of course, attitudes against trans and non-binary folks, how important do you feel like it is to be able to show this at the Los Angeles International Latino Film Festival? Because I think that's incredibly significant as well when we think about culture and identity, to be able to, continue to bridge the gap and show our people and in the full lives they lead. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about excitement for the festival or how you feel about the premiere.
Well, it for us, the LALIFF and the Latino Film Institute, not only because of their support, but because of the community that this festival brings together. Uh, this festival has always felt like a home to this movie, right? And we feel heard, we feel seen, and I think what is so beautiful about this community is that we are nuanced, we're complex, we're layered, we're sometimes hard to just put into a box and check como what is our identity, right? So many interests come together for this festival, and even though we're the Latino Film Festival, um, it's a window to Los Angeles and to the film industry, saying, okay, this is what we have to say as a community. So we feel super como accepted, seen, understood. Definitely, it's a very important moment right now in history with all the pushback we're getting about immigration and the view that this moment in American politics is pushing against the Latino community, against the trans community. So we definitely feel like it's like a higher calling as a community, right? That we come together and just speak our truth and be an example of that we are fighting.
This is all the time we have, so I wanted to thank you all for sharing your time with us. To Sophia, Constanza, and Dome, thank you for bringing Papa Melissa into the world. We can't wait to see what you all do next. Remember that you can follow the Light Leaks for more interviews, filmmaker spotlights, and community-led content. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.